So I've been using the Fuji X-T1 now for about a week, and I have a full review of that. Look for a link down below. But I wanted to share a couple of tips that I've discovered in the course of using this camera that I think will make the operation a little bit better, a little bit snappier, and you'll be a little bit happier. So the first one has to do with the focus mode. So when you are in your single point focus mode, you can dive into however you've set that up to be the selector. I've got the right directional pad right now. That brings up the selector mode. Now you can use the dial on the front to change the size of that focus point. So that lets you to really dial in and nail your focus. Tip number 2 involves focusing as well, and that is when you are in manual focus mode, you have the ability to still autofocus because these lenses are focused by wire, so they can focus anytime. There is no mechanical switch that moves in between autofocus and manual focus, but your focus is now moved from your shutter button to your back focus button here, your AFL. Pushing that will allow you to autofocus while you're in manual focus. And that gives you the best of both worlds because that leads to my third tip, which is your dual display. So when you are in manual focus mode, you have an option available to you you can get into by pressing display on the back and navigating between the different modes. One of them is called dual, and what that allows is a split screen of one image of the whole view of the frame and another that is just the focus point zoomed in to 100%, so you can really see and get your focus. Now, combine that with the previous tip, you can still hit that back button focus to get focus, and then you can change focus just a little bit or a lot by rotating the focus dial on the lens itself. My next tip also touches on focus as well, and that is to go into your menu and go down to your setup, and you have available to you power management. And going to the right on that one will allow you to turn your high performance on. That gives the camera just a little bit of a oomph. I've heard that it bumps up its clock cycles, basically the CPU. I don't want to call it overclocking, but it gives it a little bit more power. You do sacrifice some battery life, but you should get slightly snappier performance from the camera, both in autofocusing and in processing files that you're working with. My last tip has to do with saving battery life. So after you've turned that high performance on, you are going to notice a decrease in battery life. One of the best ways to avoid that is to try to not use the EVF or the LCD as much as possible. So there's a little button on the side of the camera that will allow you to press, that will cycle through your different views between viewfinder and EVF, and you keep pressing that and you eventually get to a spot where neither of them are on unless you put your eye up to the EVF, and then it will come on. That's nice. When the camera's down at your side, everything is off, nothing's going to be on. You could even, if you're gutsy and daring, continue to use the camera and autofocus this way, because on the back, right here by this little bump, is a little focus confirmation light. When it is solid green, you're good to go. So you could point it in the general direction, watch it turn solid green, and take a picture. I just did that without the EVF or the LCD coming on. A little silly, but for some shots, and if you're desperately trying to save battery life, that's going to give you an option. If it blinks green, that means that it's got focus, but your shutter speed is probably a little bit too low, or there's some other issue that the camera thinks the picture's not going to come out as well as it could. And of course, you can always put it up to your eye. The EVF instantly comes on and it's ready to take a picture. So just a couple of quick tips about the Fuji X-T1. As I said, I have a full review. Check down below if you want more information about that. I also have a longer video that talks about the features, the tour kind of the outside and the inside of a camera. Feel free to look down below for that link as well. Thanks so much for watching, and if you haven't already, please subscribe.